So cold calling is dead, and I'm going to explain why in this video. I'm going to also give you the alternatives. Now, hear me out. I've been a recruiter over 10 years, and I've been cold calling all of my career. I still cold call to this day. But I'm going to tell you there's better methods out there in terms of conversions. So when I say cold calling is dead, I don't actually mean don't do it. I mean there's better alternatives. I'll explain why. So if you called 10 years ago, chances are your conversion would have been way higher than email. There wasn't much emphasis on emails. If you look at most companies now, if you go on their website, typically you only find a customer service line. Now it's dependent on the industry. So if you said I'm calling up to solicit business from mechanics, construction, blue collar style work, I would say cold calling is actually the best. Yeah. Possibly some engineering roles if it's very on-site, TIG, MIG, that kind of thing. Welding, fabricators. Maybe I would say cold calling is best for those. But if it's not blue collar, I would say definitely it needs to be cold email or some other strategy, whether it's, paid ads or LinkedIn, that kind of thing. But email always wins. I'll tell you why. I'll kill the whole argument in one way. Not everybody has a direct line now, believe it or not, to their actual company. Yeah. But everybody, even the cleaner, has an email address to that company. Yeah. So if you do want to reach someone, guaranteed they have an email address. You can directly reach them because that's what it's about. It's not about, oh, can I get through to that person? Sure, you're going to end up building a relationship with them if you cold call. Look, that's the argument. People say, oh, you can build a relationship on a phone, you can't build it on email. Listen, you cold call, you ain't building no relationship. You're just prospecting. Cold calling should only be used to prospect. If you email them, you're going to get on the phone and it becomes a warm call. Yeah? You can't build relationships on a cold call. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. They might remember you, you might have a laugh, but we're offering recruitment service or whatever you're offering as a whole. You ain't going to be able to prove yourself on a cold call. You can say the fanciest things in the world. In fact, you can sound bad on a cold call, but if you deliver the product or the candidate, you're going to do way better. So in my opinion, it's only going to get worse for cold calling. I've never brought anything from a cold call. Just look at you personally. Have you brought anything from a cold call? Do you like cold callers? There've just been years of bad cold calls over the years where people are just, if it's a cold call, they're automatically switched off completely. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do. Sometimes you can sound amazing, but really and truly, the best methods now to win business, scalable, is cold email. Categorically. I love anyone's opinion below, but let me know. You are probably wasting your time if you are cold calling to win business and not cold emailing in recruitment 2024. I would go as far as to say, keep cold calling, but prospect. Don't try to win business. Try to prospect. And what I mean by prospecting is, do you use agencies, Mr. Client? That's all I would use cold calling for. Who is it that deals with recruitment so you can email them afterwards? I'll give you a quick analogy. Sorry, my eye. I'll give you a quick analogy. So I was heavy on cold calling, and I've told this story before. And this is when the penny dropped, about 5-6 years ago. I was cold calling, and everyone would say, can you just email? I was like, okay, I'll grab the person's email. And then I was like, hold on a minute. And I'd write them down because I'd be speed cold calling. So I'd write the emails down, and at the end of the day, I'd send them out. So I'd end up with like 30, 40 email addresses. And I would blast the email out, and I would suddenly get 4 or 5 responses. So I was like, I'm cold calling, I'm getting the email. Why don't I just work out the email? And this is a time before the softwares were out in terms of you can find email addresses like Apollo.io, Leadleaper. So I had to manually guess people's emails. And I used to be like, okay, cads.money@nanoza.com, whatever. I would be looking at that, yeah? And I would send the emails. So I would skip that. I would just look at the vacancies, find the email address and send them out. And I picked up like 4 or 5 clients that day, literally. And I was like showing people, I was like, look. And they're like, how? I was like, another one. So I was like, skip the email completely. It just doesn't work. Cold calling, it's a waste of time. It all comes back to email anyway. If you message a client or you cold call a client, they'll say, yeah, can you send an email to me? Can you send your terms to me? It comes back by email anyway. So why don't you skip the inefficiency of cold calling and just cold email? I guarantee if you send 20, 30,000 cold emails, it's all it takes to build a recruitment business if you pick the right sector in this way. So the analogy I'm giving there, or the story I've just told, would be the fact that cold calling is just a waste of time. It's inefficient. You hardly get through. I think it's like over 90%. I gave a statistic where I've done some research on a previous video. The statistically chance of you getting through is so small, but the rate you get of your email being read is much higher. So mathematically, if your open rate is 20, 30%, even if it's 10%, you get a better chance of getting in front of your prospects. Therefore, your conversion rate is going to be higher because you're saying the same thing on the cold email or the cold call. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they'll come back to you and say, oh yeah, can we schedule a call? That's a call you want to be on. Yeah. You don't want to be on a cold call where you're saying to the prospect, oh, I can maybe find you, you're just scrambling in, trying to get your things in. People aren't receptive to cold calls in the UK. Now, there are exceptions. I can guarantee you, I've cold emailed people and they haven't done business with me. One phone call and then they're like, yeah, let's do business. Not as simple as that. But I was like, can I ask? You know, I emailed you before. Was that not? And he goes, I never check my emails. I get so many spam emails. I never check them. I like people to call me up. Old school boys, they want to be called. Yeah, they were in a generation where there was no emails. They done everything by the phone. Those are the people, of course, you get a higher conversion rate. Now, this being said, all my best clients, and I always say this, have all come from cold email. And when I say best client, highest revenue, easiest to work with. Yeah. Treat the candidates good. That's what you want. They've all been from cold email. The biggest accounts have all been from cold email. Yeah. And not the biggest, the highest revenue, not the biggest accounts. They've all been cold email, but cold calling, then yeah, I mean, that just shows you most people won't. The only thing that shows me is most people won't cold call, but when they do, the value of the client is much higher. Yeah, because it's harder to do. Chances are the conversions are lower. So in a nutshell, prospect cold calling, but send out emails to everybody. 20 to 30,000 emails, cold emails will change your business completely. So I hope you've found some value, clarified some points. Again, this is my personal opinion, but I'm always right. So all the best and take care.